The smell of roasting turkey drifted through my mother's house-browned sugar glaze and rosemary. The same recipe she'd made every November for 30 years. Crystal glasses clinked. Laughter echoed from the dining room where my sister Vanessa was holding court, showing off photos of her latest kitchen renovation on her phone. I stood in the doorway of the kitchen, holding the pumpkin pie I'd spent 3 hours making, and watched my mother's smile tighten when she saw me. Rachel, she didn't move to hug me. I thought we discussed this. Discussed what? Thanksgiving. She lowered her voice, but not enough. I told you this year is for achievers only. Family members who are actually contributing something. Your father and I decided. I drove 2 hours to be here, Mom. And I appreciate the effort. But, she glanced toward the dining room, where Vanessa's laugh rang out again. Your sister just closed on her third investment property. Your brother-in-law made VP. We want to celebrate success this year, and frankly ... She looked at my pie like it was evidence of my failures. Frankly, sweetheart, you'd bring down the energy. Vanessa appeared in the doorway, champagne flute in hand, blonde highlights catching the kitchen light. Is she still here? Mom, I thought you handled this. She turned to me with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. No offense, Rach, but this is kind of embarrassing. For all of us. Maybe next year if you get a real job? I looked at the pie in my hands, at my mother's carefully neutral expression, at my sister's performative concern. I understand, I said calmly. I'll go. I left the pie on the counter and walked out. My husband James was waiting in the car, engine running. He didn't ask how it went. He could see it on my face. The Willow Creek house, he said quietly. It's still available. The realtor called this morning. I looked at him, at his steady hands on the wheel, at the calm certainty in his eyes. Make the offer, I said. Full asking price, cash, he smiled, small, knowing. Before I tell you what happened 2 weeks later, before I tell you about the realtor's face, the deed with my name on it, and the 127 voicemails I never returned, you need to understand something about my family. You need to understand why buying that house wasn't revenge. It was just the truth, finally becoming visible. I grew up in a house where my sister was the sun and I was expected to orbit. People say parents don't have favorites. Mine had a shrine. Vanessa's dance recital photos lined the hallway. Her cheerleading trophies filled the living room cabinet. Her wedding album sat on the coffee table for 3 years straight. My college graduation photo was in the guest bathroom. The pattern started young. When Vanessa wanted piano lessons, my parents bought a baby grand. When I wanted to join the soccer team, Mom said we couldn't afford another extracurricular and maybe I could just practice in the backyard. When Vanessa got a C in high school chemistry, Dad hired her a tutor and took her out for ice cream to boost her confidence. When I got a B+ in AP Physics, Mom asked why I hadn't tried harder. Your sister has natural gifts, she explained. You have to work for everything. That's just how it is. When Vanessa married Derek Loud, mediocre Derek, who'd inherited his father's real estate company and acted like he'd built it himself, the wedding cost $80,000. My parents took out a second mortgage and called it an investment in her future. When I married James 2 years later, Mom handed me a check for $2,000 and said, "We'd give more, but Vanessa's wedding really stretched us." She said it like I should thank her for the scraps. I didn't argue. I never argued. I just documented, waited. What my family did unknow. What I deliberately kept hidden for 7 years was that I was the failure they decided I was. I'd started my own accounting firm at 26. Small at first, just me and a laptop in our 1-bedroom apartment. Then 2 clients became 10, 10 became 50. By year 3, I had a staff of 12 and revenue in the mid-7 figures. Last year, we'd crossed $4.2 million. This year, we were on track for 6. But that wasn't even the real money. James worked in private equity. We'd met at a finance conference 8 years ago, and he'd seen something in me that my family never bothered to look for. When I told him about my business idea, he hadn't laughed. He'd asked questions. He'd connected me with investors. He'd believed me before I fully believed myself. Together, our household income was just under $2 million annually. We had $3.8 million in investments, not counting real estate. We could have bought my parents' house 10 times over. But we'd never told them. Why would I? I'd asked my therapist, Dr. Nguyen, during one of our sessions. They've never asked about my work. They've never asked about my life. Mom still thinks I'm a bookkeeper. She literally used those words last Christmas. What do you want from them? Dr. Nguyen had asked. I wanted them to be curious. Just once, I wanted them to care about me, not just what I could give them or how I compared to Vanessa. And have they? I'd laughed, dry and low. The only time Mom calls is to ask if I can lend Vanessa money. The only time Dad calls is to tell me Mom is upset about something I did. They don't want a daughter. They want an audience for Vanessa's success story. You're not being paranoid, Dr. Nguyen had said. You're being accurate. The question is, what do you want to do with that accuracy? I hadn't known the answer then. I knew it now. Willow Creek Estates was the most exclusive neighborhood in our parents' suburb. Gated community, million-dollar homes. A waiting list so long that most families never made it off. For 15 years, my parents had talked about Willow Creek like it was heaven. Someday, Mom would say, eyes going soft. Someday we'll have a house there. Can you imagine? The Montgomerys would finally have arrived. Vanessa and Derek had been trying to buy there for 3 years. They'd made offers on 4 different properties. Every time they'd been outbid or the deal had fallen through. It had become a running joke at family dinners. Vanessa's Willow Creek curse. What no one knew was that James and I had been watching. The corner lot on Magnolia Drive, the best lot in the entire development, backing up to a private lake, had come on the market 6 months ago. The asking price was $2.4 million. We'd waited, watched, let Vanessa and Derek make their offer first. They'd been outbid by an anonymous buyer who paid cash. That anonymous buyer was me. 2 weeks after Thanksgiving, my phone rang. Mrs. Patterson? The voice was professionally cheerful. This is Donna Chun from Willow Creek Realty. I'm calling because I understand you've just closed on 847 Magnolia Drive. That's correct. Wonderful. I'm actually working with some clients who are very interested in that property, the Hartley family. They've asked me to reach out and see if you might consider selling. They're prepared to offer, I'm not interested in selling. A pause. I see. Well, if you change your mind, I won't. I hung up and looked at James, Vanessa's realtor. He nodded. They must have just found out. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number, but I recognized the area code. Vanessa's new phone, probably. The text was just a screenshot. The screenshot showed a real estate listing. My house, with my name on the deed, visible in the county records Vanessa had clearly looked up. Below it, Vanessa had typed, "What the actual fuck, Rachel?" I turned my phone over. Set it on the counter. Went back to unpacking the kitchen boxes in my new house, my $2.4 million house with the lake view and the chef's kitchen and the primary suite larger than my childhood bedroom and Vanessa's bedroom combined. The calls started within the hour. By evening, I had 34 missed calls. Mom, 15 calls ranging from confused to angry to pleading. Dad, 7 calls, all short, all ending with him sighing and hanging up. Vanessa, 12 calls, none of which I answered. The voicemails painted a picture. Mom, first message 3:47 p.m. Rachel, honey, I don't understand. Donna Chun just called me saying you bought the Magnolia house. The one Vanessa's been trying to get for years? There must be some mistake. Call me back. Mom, fourth message, 5:12 p.m. This isn't funny, Rachel. I don't know how you did this or what kind of game you're playing, but you need to call me right now. Your sister is devastated. Mom, eighth message, 6:58 p.m. Where is this money coming from? Have you been hiding something from us? I'm your mother, Rachel. I have a right to know what's going on in your life. Call me back. Vanessa, 11th message, 7:34 p.m. Voice cracking. I can't believe you would do this to me. I've been trying to get into Willow Creek for 3 years. 3 years, and you just swoop in and steal my dream house. This is so typical. You've always been jealous of me, always trying to compete. Call me back, or I swear to God, Rachel. The message cut off. I didn't save any of them. The confrontation happened 3 days later. I was supervising the furniture delivery, custom sectional for the great room, an 8-person dining table that could actually fit James's family when they visited. when the front gate intercom buzzed. "Ma'am?" The security guard's voice was uncertain. "There's a Patricia and Vanessa Montgomery here. They say they're family." "Rachel," Mom's voice was strange, strangled. "What is this?" "This is my house." I kept my voice even, calm. "Would you like to come in?" They followed me inside like sleepwalkers. I watched their eyes sweep the foyer, the double-height ceiling, the original art on the walls, the crystal chandelier James's mother had given us as a housewarming gift. Vanessa made a small sound in her throat. Something between a gasp and a whimper. "How?" Mom's voice cracked. "How is any of this possible? You're a bookkeeper. You married a—" She stopped, realizing she had no idea what James did. "I'm not a bookkeeper." I led them to the great room, gestured for them to sit on the new sectional. They didn't. "I own an accounting firm. We did $4.2 million in revenue last year. James works in private equity. Together, we make more than you probably imagine." Vanessa's face had gone white. You have a company?" "For 7 years. 7. She turned to Mom. "Did you know?" "Of course I didn't know." Mom's mask was cracking now, fury bleeding through. "She never told us. She's been hiding this lying to us for 7 years. "I never lied." I sat on the armchair across from them, perfectly composed. "You never asked." The words hung there, simple, true, devastating. "That's not," Mom sputtered. "That's not how family works, Rachel. You're supposed to share these things." "We're your parents. We deserve to know." "Deserved?" I laughed once, dry and low. "You uninvited me from Thanksgiving because I wasn't successful enough. You called me an embarrassment. You've spent 30 years treating me like the family disappointment while celebrating every mediocre thing Vanessa has ever done. And you think you deserve to know about my success?" Vanessa flinched like I'd slapped her. "That's not fair. I've worked hard for everything I have." Derek's father gave him his company. And Mom and Dad supported me because I was actually doing something with my life. They spent $80,000 on your wedding. They gave me $2,000. And you were always so quiet about everything. How were we supposed to know? You could have asked. My voice didn't rise. Once, in 7 years. You could have asked a single question about my work, my marriage, my life. You didn't. You asked if I could lend Vanessa money. You asked if I could help with Mom's taxes. You asked what I was bringing to Thanksgiving, even though you were planning to uninvite me before I arrived. Silence. The delivery men continued moving furniture in the background, professionally ignoring the family drama. "No," Mom straightened, tried to regain control. "Well, now that we know, we can start fresh. Family forgives, Rachel. We can move past this. Maybe," her eyes darted around the room, calculating. "Maybe we can have Christmas here. The house is certainly big enough." "Vanessa, wouldn't that be lovely?" I smiled, small, calm, dangerous. No, you're not welcome here." I stood. "This is my house, my space. The first place in my entire life where I have to perform for people who already decided I wasn't worth their attention. You don't get to come here. You don't get to celebrate here. You don't get to pretend you always believed in me when you made it clear, 3 days ago, that I was too much of a failure to share a Thanksgiving table with." Mom's face went gray. "Rachel, I think you should leave." Vanessa started crying. Loud, gulping sobs that I recognized from childhood, the tears that had always made Mom rush to her side, that had always made me the villain for causing them. They didn't work anymore. "This is crazy," Vanessa gasped. "You're punishing us because we didn't know." "No? I'm not punishing you. I'm protecting myself." I walked to the front door and opened it. "There's a difference." They left. Mom's perfume, that heavy floral scent that had suffocated me through every childhood argument, lingered in the foyer for hours. I didn't respond to any of them. What I did do was change my number, update my security protocols, have my lawyer send a cease and desist when Vanessa showed up at my office demanding to talk this out. I also sent my father one message. "If you want to have a relationship with me, it has to be separate from Mom and Vanessa. Coffee, just the two of us. You have my email." He never responded. A month later, I stood on my back porch, watching the sun set over the lake. The water was gold and pink, impossibly beautiful. The kind of view my mother had dreamed about for 15 years and would never see. James came up behind me, wrapped his arms around my waist. Peaceful? Getting there. And it was true. The silence in my house, my space, my life didn't ache anymore. It settled. Like something earned. Like something I'd been waiting for my whole life. Dr. Nguyen had asked me, during our last session, if I felt guilty. No, I'd said, surprising myself. I feel like I've been looking through foggy glass for 30 years and someone finally cleaned it. That's boundaries, she'd said. That's what peace feels like when you stop bleeding for people who never noticed the wound. I thought about that now, watching the lake. About all the years I'd spent hoping they'd see me, hoping they'd ask. Hoping that if I was just quiet enough, patient enough, successful enough, they'd finally turn around and notice that I was there. They never had, and now I understood they never would. But that was okay, because I'd finally stopped needing them to. The last voicemail from my mother 3 weeks ago had said, "We made mistakes, but we're still your family. You owe us a conversation. After everything we sacrificed for you." I deleted it without listening to the end. She was wrong. I didn't owe them anything. Not my success, not my space, not my peace. They'd spent 30 years telling me I wasn't enough. And now I'd discovered something they never expected. I was more than enough. I'd always been, they just weren't the right people to see it. The sun finished setting. The lake went dark, then silver under the rising moon. Somewhere across the water, a light flickered on in another house, another family sitting down to dinner, living their ordinary lives. I went inside. James had made pasta. The kitchen smelled like garlic and white wine and warmth. We ate dinner at our 8-person table, just the two of us, with enough empty chairs for all the people who actually loved me. The phone stayed silent. And for the first time in 30 years, home was exactly what it should have been. If you've ever been told you weren't successful enough, smart enough, good enough to deserve a seat at the table, if you've ever had to build your own table, instead, share your story below. You're not alone. They said Thanksgiving was for achievers. They just didn't realize I'd been achieving all along. I didn't buy the house to prove anything. I bought it because I could. And that's the only reason I ever needed.